so they're writing a letter back, the Sun does, saying that they essentially have no intention of honoring the wishes of this town, and they proceed to call them a hick town. So this is when the curse starts, because they wouldn't give this championship back to these people when it has nothing to do with anything now. I don't see what it would hurt to say, yeah, you guys can have your piece of NFL, history. Regardless of what the rules are, you technically were the winners. So anyway, this is when the curse starts.
Now to imagine that many years later, that team's probably more established. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Well, and at this point, I didn't tell you here, but they had actually moved on to St. Louis in the
Okay.
60s. Yeah, and then you have the birth of the Chicago Bears instead. The Bears were a team back then, but it was they were across town, and they end up becoming the team for the Chicago area. So now they're in St. Louis, and then we know the story where they eventually get moved to Arizona, where we see them now. So, 2003, it was formally brought up again to the owners when they had an owners meeting there in Philadelphia. There, Rooney, Lurie, and Pottsville Mayor John D. Riley and Pennsylvania Governor Ed Rendell offered a solution that the then Commissioner Paul Talabue's blessing to let the Cards and the Maroons share the title. So 2000, I mean, this thing had been going on almost 80 years at this point, and they're trying to get them to share it. According to Rooney and Riley, a Bidwell interfered again. So that's the family that owns them. Bill Bidwell, who served on a 3-man committee that studied the dispute title, convinced his fellow owners to squash the Pottsville petition, and they did a 30-2 vote. So 30 people of the 32 owners, 30 of them said, no, you're not getting the championship. It's staying a part of the Chicago Cardinals.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, I mean, this guy went way out of his way to keep a title that his family had nothing to do with. I mean, it's just the whole thing's very immature in my mind. So, anyway, so the thing is that since then, since the 60s, 1963, they have been cursed. So I pulled a bunch of